Yeah, hello. Yeah. I think this is marred with a lot of skirmishes which is happening. So let me take you through this particular. So there is a guy coming up very fast in the background, and this is we, the Homo sapiens, right? And that guy which was coming up very fast, we call that an artificial super intelligence. Now, if you look from that perspective, you know these gentlemen, like Stephen Hawking, right? Right. So, Stephen Hawking, he said the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of human race. And recently, Bill Gates also came out and said, why can't we understand it? बात हमें समझ में क्यों नहीं आ रही है? Elon Musk, on the right hand side, the SpaceX guy, a Tesla guy, he came out and said, we are summoning the demon. हम राक्षस बुला रहे हैं. और जब राक्षस आता है तो क्या करता है? हमें खा जाता है, right? So this is what he meant by that. And this is a very wonderful book known as Super Intelligence. And this book is written by Nick Bostrom. And he said, a Disneyland without children. So there will be a lot of technology, AR, VR, IoT, blockchain, a lot of collaterals will be around us. But we will be not there. The children, we will be not there. James Barat, he said, we have pulled the black ball now. This is our final invention. जो हमें इस पृथ्वी पे करना था हमने कर लिया. Now, artificial intelligence and the end of human era. That's a wonderful book, by the way. So that is what he pointed out. But what I believe in most is the last line. The physical extinction of human race is one possibility, that is Winge. So I believe in human resilience. I believe in our thoughtfulness in terms of policy, regulations, okay? And I believe that we will overcome this challenge too if we put our thoughts and join hands together. So this is the artificial super intelligence. They say when we'll reach ASI level, we will go extinct. And if you believe, gentlemen, that AI is not there, let me tell you, AI is all around us. The way we travel, the way we do business, the way we shop, the way we do politics, the way we socialize, everywhere AI is now. So you watch Netflix, the recommendation engine is based on AI. You go on YouTube, the recommendation engine is based on AI. So you watch certain things, you will see that YouTube will start suggesting and recommending things which is very similar to what you have been watching. Be it Pakistan-India conflict, be whatever you are watching, you will see those recommendations start coming in. That is an AI. And actually, the Facebook AI has been so powerful that they say the President of America, the Trump, when he became President of America, it is attributed to Facebook AI. So they say, and when I say Facebook AI, actually your data is being shared. So our data, Indians, our data is shared by Google, Amazon, what we buy, okay, what kind of product we buy, Google, what you are searching, be it a product or any other knowledge sphere you are searching for. Facebook, you are posting your leanings, your political thought processes, all are getting shared. And AI is watching you. They are collecting data and analyzing it continuously. So they say that Facebook AI, a day before election, they knew exactly who are the right-wingers in America. When I say right-wingers, the Trump supporters. Okay, so they knew who are the right-wingers. And just the day before election, messages went out to people who were Trump supporters with a message that your friends are going to vote. Are you? It was a very simple message with 12 thumbnails down below, all of your close friends. And they say it resulted into 3,75,000 additional people who went out and voted that day in favor of Trump. And Trump became President of America by only 1,10,000 votes from Wisconsin, Michigan. Okay, so this is the three counties where it became the President of America. Hillary lost it. It's such a powerful technology. You can well imagine the kind of impact it will bring. And Cambridge Analytica, you must have heard already about in India too, right? So it is already there. It is impacting us. Let me give you an example, the way we shop. Amazon, every one of us must have gone to Amazon and bought things, right? At this point of time. What do? You go, you search a product, you like a product, you buy, you pay for it, and then a delivery guy comes to you next day and he delivers it. Next day or in a week time, he will come and deliver the things to you. Now, if you look from that perspective, the burden of delivering or the logistics or fulfillment burden on Amazon is so huge that Amazon being a $114 billion firm, around 37 billion, 37, $40 billion odd, it goes into logistics and fulfillment. So it's a huge burden for them on the logistics. I mean, I'm talking about the global organization and the Amazon, not only India perspective. So they are the biggest users of AI. You must have heard about Alexa, right? If you're talking to Siri, Alexa, and all those, right? They're all AI only, I mean. So they are talking to this. So they are the biggest user. The AWS cloud providers, they are the cognitive services, are one of the biggest users of AI. So what they're doing, they want to change the model. So instead of shop and ship, so you are there, you are shopping and it is getting shipped to you, they want to change it to ship and shop. So one fine day you will wake up, you will open the door and you will find an Amazon box in front of you, and that Amazon box will all have all those things which you require that day. It is going to be predicted. They are leveraging the predictive analytics. You require that day milk or a mobile phone or certain vegetables, all will be there. You will take out those things and leave the box outside. The Amazon, that same guy will come, collect from your society all those boxes and go away. Okay, you will get billed what you have taken out. So they are planning to change the model from shop and ship to ship and shop. Okay, that will change the logistic burden by 1/3. It will cut it down from $40 billion odd. It will come down to probably $15 billion. So that's a huge impact they want to bring it in. So gentlemen, it's all around you. I will not delve much time, but when you do Google on AI, there are a lot of words get thrown out you. Machine learning, robotics, planning, ontology, cognitive systems, okay, natural language processing, that is what Alexa and Siri is all about, machine learning. But this defines the AI world altogether. Now, if you look at AI perspective, there are only two aspects of AI. One is, and like I heard Professor Partha talking about it, there are only two parts of it. Either it is a hardwired one, which is assisting us today, or it is an augmenting, and when I say it is augmenting us, that is adaptive systems. So the difference between an hardwired and adaptive systems are that when you develop an AI algorithm, train it up and deploy it, it doesn't learn further. It goes on doing the same job again and again and again and again. That's the assisted hardwired and specific systems, or the assisted intelligence. Where the augmented intelligence is that once you deploy it after training, it also learns from the environment continuously. But then, we humans, so if you look, there are two categories. One, we humans are still in loop, so we are still making the final decision. But in the other part of it, we are not making that. So that is one, the automation, which is the industrial automation. You must be having it. Any automotive factory is having it. Okay, that's an industrial automation. Robotic arms are there. They are not intelligent. The code has been written by human beings only. But the down below, on adaptive system is the autonomous intelligence, and that is the concern, because that is learning. So the autonomous vehicles currently, which has been given license in countries like US and all, they are delivering pizza, they are ferrying people from one place to another. Companies like Google, Uber, they are all implementing. They have learned, they have been driving on the streets for last 50,000 hours. Okay, so more than 50,000 घंटा से ज़्यादा वो गाड़ी चला चुका है AI, and it has reached level 3. So level 3 means that it is very near to us, and when it will move up on level 5, it will be like your Uber driver. He will come next to your gate, call you up and say कि भाई आपकी गाड़ी आ गई है, आ जाइए, and he will guide you to his vehicle also. Okay, and then on the way when you are driving, he will talk to you about your kids, about your issues, about your problems, just like a human. So that's the level 5 they are trying to achieve there on the Uber drivers, on autonomous vehicles. Now, so from that note, let me come to the point. AI augmentation. When AI will start walking, and it is as it is walking in, the first aspect will be, let's try to understand, I call it the great decoupling. Human productivity by 2000 has started going down. We have done everything. CMA level 5, 6 Sigma. So I come from IT industry, so I'll take those notes, or ISO 27001. We have written all the standard operating procedures, processes, and brought to the human productivity to the max, right? Actually, in last 100 years, the human productivity has jumped up by 2,000 times, okay? And with AI walking in, the jump will be more quantum. the productivity jump will be more quantum. Okay? So the human productivity started going down in terms of labor, services, knowledge services, it is going down. But the capital intensive productivity is going up, which is based on platforms, robots, robotic process automation, DevOps, you go on naming those platforms, data-based, the productivity is going up. Okay? So this we call it a great decoupling. But you know what? With this, what is going to happen? Today, 90% of the money in this world belongs to 10% people. People like Adani, Ambani, Tatas, Burkos, and all these gentlemen, they have got the 90% of the money. We, 10% people, 90% people have got only the 10% of money. And this is going to exacerbate in coming years. Now this change due to AI, the automation based on productivity based on AI, this will be so acute that 1% people will have 99% of the money in their hands and 99% of the people will left out with only 1% of money in their hands. Now this means, and that is the narrative which we carry, is that India as a nation state, there is an existential risk for it. We may not exist as a nation because controls will shift to few corporates or few countries with AI. And that is very critical for us to understand too. So if you look at what will happen, why I'm saying this, the AI-based automation, which will create this, the whole income inequality to the next level, the first thing which will happen is share in production. So skilled workers, they will get replaced by the robots or AI-based robots, okay? So Volkswagen factory in Munich, so I was part of Capgemini looking after continental Europe deliveries. The Volkswagen factory in Munich once upon a time had 50,000 people. Today there are only 5,000 people working in those factories. Everything is automated. It is a conveyor belt. The robotic arms are doing all the job, putting the wheels, putting the paint and everything, and the car is out. And the productivity increase, I'm just referring it, from 36 days, the productivity has gone up to only 3 points. So they are producing one car is only 3.6 days now. So that kind of productivity gain they have achieved. So what will happen first? The share in production of these robots will increase. The skilled workers will get replaced first, right? The second stage will come on the investment flows. They will come and tell you, gentlemen, how much automation you have? And you will say, hey, I have got so many people working, my automation level is 40, 50%. They say, no, I will not invest in you. Okay? You need to bring your automation to 90%. Then only we'll put money into it. That means the capital which we do have, 42.5% young people in India, which are looking for jobs, right? That is the cost arbitrage we have. That will not be a boon anymore to us. That will become a bane to us. Less human, more automation. And FDI flows will start stifling for us. The next third stage will come the terms of trade. The terms of trade is, आपने वो सुना होगा कि भाई Amazon और Google जो है वो उन कंपनियों से नहीं खरीदते हैं जहां पे चाइल्ड लेबर एम्प्लॉय होता है, राइट? सो लॉट ऑफ कंपनीज एंड ऑल द चाइल्ड लेबर है वहां से Google will not buy, Amazon will not buy from them. The time will come very soon where the terms of trade will be that do you employ a human? Are you employing a human? If you say yes, we do employ human, they will not buy from you. So, no, I'm just taking a notch up, but that is what it means to me, right? The terms of trade will change. So that will change the whole economy. You know, by 2023, the revenue from AI will be $35 trillion. You know the Indian GDP, it is only $3 trillion, gentlemen, right? So from AI only, it is going to jump up to $35 trillion. The next stage, when I said that India has got an existential risk now, okay, that is the sustainability. The Make in India program and all these will be going down the drain. That sustainability in terms of, that substitutability in terms of replacing humans with robots in advanced nations are much more better than us. We can't do that. Even if we want, we can't do that in a lot of industry. I think in the steel manufacturing, you can't do that to an extent, right? But they can achieve that, the substitutability. And when they achieve the substitutability, they will also achieve the sustainability, or our sustainability will be a question mark. So that is the great divide. So world is staring at an economic dystopia, a society with a lot of suffering and pain. And India specifically is facing a world where we will go through a lot of pain and a lot of suffering due to this automation which is AI bringing in. In next 8 years, 10 years, 20 years, but it is coming in, gentlemen. Now, one thing, another aspect of AI we need to understand is the world we are living in today, that's the world we call it artificial narrow intelligence. It's a machine learning world. It's algorithms, right? That is the world. We call it narrow intelligence. And when we say narrow intelligence, what does it mean? It operates upon structured data, the data which resides into our relational database systems. Okay, it doesn't remember the other part of the line. So if you teach him something like driving a car and then you teach him to fly a plane, it forgets about driving a car. But we humans don't do that. So we humans, we learn cycling or swimming in early childhood. Even after 50 years, somebody throws you in the water, you will be able to swim. We don't forget it. Somebody gives you a bicycle, you will be able to drive it, right? So that is capability which we have. Now the second capability, we operate not upon the structured data set, but we operate upon unstructured data. So we have got this, the tacital, we have got the olfactory organ, we have got the hearing capability, the vision and taste buds, right? यही ना 5 ज्ञानेंद्रियां हैं हमारी. And we create our reality around this only, this. And AI is coming to that age where it will create a reality from unstructured data set. And that we call it artificial general intelligence. So Microsoft has given a foundation like with the OpenAI in US, $1 billion to develop artificial general intelligence technology. And recently they have come out with GPT-3, general purpose technology 3, and that has been trained on $147 billion, billion data points. And when I say 147 billion data points, that means if you give him a word, it will write the whole book. It is such a powerful technology now. And recently Microsoft has just commercialized that. So you can actually go on Microsoft Azure Cloud and get an access to GPT-3. Okay? So they are developing, they are moving very fast into that space where they are reaching the artificial general intelligence levels. And from AGI to artificial superintelligence, it will be probably seconds, minutes, weeks, or years, we don't know. Because it will have tremendous access to computational capability which we humans don't have. We are limited by this cranial. They don't. This AI doesn't. Okay? So that they do it. Second aspect which we need to understand on AI, that like spatial. So we have got all these kind of musical, we have got musical intelligence. कुछ लोग बड़ा अच्छा गाना गाते हैं, right? कुछ उतना अच्छा नहीं गाते हैं. बाथरूम सिंगर्स है, कुछ स्पेशल हैं, वो एक जगह से दूसरे जगह नेविगेट करना बड़ा अच्छा से जानते हैं, और कुछ उतना अच्छा नहीं जानते हैं, right? But Google Maps on spatial is much more better than us. And every one of us driving from one place to another leveraging Google Maps, it leverages AI. And it is not only taking you on करोड़ों लोगों को from one place to another place, but what it is also doing, telling you the traffic conditions, the time you will take to reach, and it is pretty accurate, right? But AI, on reaching to the level of AGI, AI will all have this. All will meet hands, and that's the brain which will be known as AGI or ASI. By the way, the artificial general intelligence technology, when it becomes available, it will operate at 5,000 IQ level. We humans operate between only 90 to 140 IQ level. Einstein 140 tha. I know I am 90 because my wife says so, कि तुम्हें कुछ भी नहीं समझ में आता है. So, but you gentlemen are probably 110, 120, right? Near Einstein. So AI is playing all the role today of a chef, of a driver, of a strategist. It is playing a lot of roles now. Now the other aspect of the AI which is worrying point is this. AI in innovation cycle. So you must have heard that Google AI has created another AI which is much more better than what we humans have created as an AI. Okay? So वो अब बच्चा पैदा कर रहा है. It is reproducing, right? So AI is walking into innovation cycle too. They did a project known as Dreamcatcher where what they did, they fitted around 400 sensors into a car, drove it around, collected around 4 billion parameters, and then they collected all the design from different car industry and gave it to AI to design a car. It designed this, the AI fabricated this, which is very similar to what a bird bones are, okay? And they have got vast differences. It is a well thought one and very safe. And they took it to that, the Dreamcatcher project, they picked it up, and now a car known as Zinger 21C hypercar is designed and manufactured and assembled in LA. It is not only designed by AI, but even it is being produced by augmented units. So every component of this car is 3D printed and AI is putting together. You can well imagine the productivity increase which it has brought on the table. They are producing car in every 3.6 hours now. So from 3.6 days, they are going down to 3.6 hours. Print it, put it together, it is on, right? Now this area is now called as computational engineering, and a lot of data sets which are there which is being collected to produce a car. It is walking into innovation cycle, and when it happens, gentlemen, what we will be seeing will be a runaway innovation. We humans can work on mobile, cloud, big data, 3D printing, renewable energy. We are so still bogged down, right, with so many technologies. But when AI walks into innovation cycle, they'll work on hundreds of them simultaneously. From healthy life extension, energy internet, circular economy, logistic internet, it will be working on. It will be a runaway innovation which will be. And there are connotations to that we need to also understand. Why is so much of investment happening into this space? US is putting more than $3 trillion equal to our GDP in AI. China is putting $147 billion into AI. So we have to understand the connotation of it. The transformational technology from 2019 onwards is all AI-based technologies, if you can look at that. And they are becoming mainstream now. The one other aspect of this we need to understand more. You know, Industrial Revolution 1.0, that happened due to steam, right? And we were not party to it. So it happened in Europe, and they developed railway engines, machine guns, steam ships. And उसका नतीजा क्या था? We were slaves for 200 years. हम 200 साल गुलाम रहे. Because we were not party to Industrial Revolution 1.0. 2.0, it happened due to electricity. It's a general purpose technology, by the way. So it happened due to electricity. It created two kinds of world. One is the underdeveloped countries and developed nations. We were underdeveloped countries. We are still an underdeveloped country, probably now being called a developing nation, right? So that created the great divide. 3.0, that is where we caught up. Probably to an extent we caught up. That's happened due to computers. And that is where we caught up. I remember that I went for taking a house in Atlanta, and this lady from the south, she asked me, and she was quite a beautiful lady, by the way. I remember her name, Mary. So he asked me, Mr. Lal, where are you from? And I said, I'm from India. And she asked me, what do you do? So I said, I'm a software engineer. And she said, oh, you are a smarty. So, so I realized later on that that's American slang, and it means that we Indians are earning better. We Indians are saving better. Okay, we are living a good life in America. And that's the reason Americans or whites are calling us smarties now, right? So they have woken up to the fact that Indians are pretty smart people, right? This has happened due to computing. We are doing what we are doing currently, $287 billion of IT exports. 55% of the IT service industry happens from India. We employ 3.5 million people in IT industry currently. But you know, the recent 2017 NASSCOM report, in NASSCOM, McKinsey put up a report, 65% of the IT jobs will be gone in coming decade. 8 billion lines of code which we have written in ERP, like SAP, PeopleSoft and all, JD Edwards and all, our intranet and all those software which humans has written, 8 billion lines of code that will all get replaced by AI algorithms in coming decade. Okay, and so this is a humongous impact. And fourth industrial revolution which is happening now is due to intelligence. And if we are not party to this, gentlemen, we are looking at a perpetual servitude. हम एक ऐसी गुलामी को देख रहे हैं जहां पे हम खुश होंगे. वो हमें बताएगा कि क्योंकि the food will be on the table. IBM calls it precision agriculture. It will sow the seed, it will grow it up, it will rip it, it will process it, and then it will cook the food and bring it on your table. AI will do that. So you will have food on the table. Wherever you want to go, there will be autonomous vehicles. They will take it to one place to another place. You can enjoy the life. But one thing will be not there with us. That is the Swata. And then it will do the social engineering too. It will convince us to be slaves. Okay, so that is the capability AI brings on the table. And we should be aware of that. Now you say, why will it happen? Why and it should be happening? Let me give you and try to give you an example there. You know this, we humans, we do around 26 quadrillion computations per second in our brain at a speed of 120 meter per second. 120 meter per second, 26 quadrillion computations per second. Hunan 1, that's the China supercomputer, okay? It does 32 quadrillion computations per second at the speed of light. So you can say, hey, human brain can be modeled on supercomputer. No, because the comparison ends here. We need only this cranial. अब मेरी खोपड़ी आप लोगों को बड़ा दिखाई देगी चारों तरफ से, right? So हमारी एक इतनी बड़ी खोपड़ी के अंदर में ही 26 quadrillion computations हम करते हैं. We consume only 20 watts for doing this kind of computation. But Hunan 1 requires 24 megawatts. Okay, so we require 20 watts. It requires एक बैटरी के बराबर, उसे 24 मेगावाट चाहिए एक शहर के बराबर बिजली. शायद आपका शहर 24 मेगावाट कंज्यूम करता होगा, right? And then the space requirement, we require this cranial, it requires 70 to 724 square meter space. In Bombay parlance, that means 2 bedroom apartment, 1000 square feet का 7 चाहिए उसे. Okay, so technology has not reached, but there is one technology, gentlemen, which is coming up very fast. If you look at the innovation trigger on the Gartner Hype Cycle, that is known as quantum computing. This is coming in very, very fast. Okay, and what I'm aware of, there are only 4 IITs in India which are seized with quantum computing technology. Okay, they're still dabbling into it. But what will happen? What is happening today in quantum computing? Google claimed a supremacy in quantum computing. They had a 72 qubits of quantum computer. IBM had 52. So Google recently launched a 72 qubits of quantum computer. And it is so powerful. It is so powerful that they say 100 qubits quantum computer will be more powerful than any supercomputer on this earth. And a 500 qubit quantum computer will be equal to all the computational capability on this earth. More than that, 500 qubits. We have already reached 128 qubits quantum computer. That is a small startup, Regity. They have launched it, right? So they are 128. More powerful than any. And it is so powerful that, let me give you an example. The laptop which I'm using today, if somebody gives me a quantum laptop tomorrow, the differential between my laptop and that laptop will be 100 million times. 10 करोड़ गुना, यानी 10 करोड़ लैपटॉप्स को जोड़ के जो ताकत बनेगी, वो लैपटॉप में वो ताकत होगी, computational capability में. So you can well imagine, then when quantum walks in, what will be there? And then we'll be not safe. Safe in terms of our data privacy. A statement given to quantum computer, if it would have been given to a supercomputer today, anyone, any reading one like Hunan 1, would have taken supercomputer to do that calculation in 475 years. But a quantum computer of 128-bit, it did it in 7 seconds. So any encryption is no more safe. No more data which is safe. We are not safe from any operational technology which we have is not safe. It can be accessed. It can be hacked. It can be walked into. Okay, and that's pretty dangerous. See, hacking a site is not so dangerous. But accessing your operational technologies is much more dangerous. Your dams can be opened up. Your power plants can be shut down by these people who are there and accessing and hacking it into our networks, into our internet, through internet. Where are they? On quantum annihilus, 128 qubits. In few years' time, or probably they have already achieved the 500 qubits. And then they will they will be reaching to 100 qubit, 100,000 qubit quantum computers, which will be an unimaginable computational capability which we can't even think of. AI will become a possible. Human level AI, or probably better than us, will become a possibility. So this is very critical. And look at all the companies who are working into this. Building a quantum computer, quantum software, quantum encryption, quantum computers, not a single Indian company is there. We are not there. So it becomes very critical for us to start investing and start working into these technology sets. So that is the reasoning. By 2030, the prediction is we will not get the driving license. We will be not driving on our streets. It will be all autonomous vehicles which will be driving. By 2030, 40 odd, your salesman into your malls, they will be all robots or humanoids. Let us call it humanoids. Okay. By the best book will be written by AI by 2030, 2040 odd. And by 2040, 2050, you will not recognize that the guy who is sitting next to you is an AI or a human. The humanoid. If you don't believe me, please go and watch on YouTube Sophia from Henson Robotics, right? She has got 28 stepper motors on her face, okay, and she can smile, she can make sad faces, she can crack jokes, right? See, look at that humanoid. So you will not able to recognize. बड़ा हमें ताजु और डरेंगे भी कि कौन बैठा हुआ है बगल में, right? But no more COVID then. So now this will lower the threshold of war. So when I say it will lower the threshold of war, the next war which is going to happen, and it is happening already, by the way, in Kabarga, in Uzbekistan it has happened, they are leveraging AI now. So autonomous tanks, drones, exoskeletons, they will be fighting the war. That means if China has to lose few $1 billion and get Arunachal Pradesh, they will do it because they will not have a human loss, right? We will have the human loss, our soldiers will die, their soldiers, it will be all exoskeletons and autonomous weapons which will be fighting that war, right? So threshold of war, like it is like this, that अगर कल के दिन में एक मुट्ठी बालू और एक माइक्रोवेव से अगर हम न्यूक्लियर बॉम्ब बना पाते तो हम नहीं एग्जिस्ट करते टुडे, राइट? बर्नपुर में ही 4-5 धमाका हो चुका होता अब तक, राइट? So that is the criticality about us. The threshold of war has being lowered now, and the lethal autonomous weapons laws, United Nations is seized with that. Lot of debate, but people and countries who are developing it, they are not participating into it. But we need to wake up to this fact too. So what we are looking at is a technological singularity, and it is inevitable, gentlemen. Okay. Sorry. Let me. Just give me a second. So on the human parity, if you look at, where is AI today? On object recognition, human parity, by 2016, AI was 96% closer to us. In 2017, speech recognition, it was making 5.1% error, which is better than us. Actually, we humans make 5.5% error. When we recognize the speech, people are talking to each other. On machine reading comprehension, it is 88.493% by January 2018. By March 2018, on machine translation, it was 70% closer. And today, there are applications, and we are working in one for Ministry of Home Affairs, an application which can translate languages, test your proficiency, and also do sentiment analysis on top of your language. So what you are speaking, is it something which we should be worried about? That is the level of AI which has reached to, okay? And it can translate any to any. So a Facebook M2M 100 can translate any language to another language, and that is all AI. So that is the human parity they have reached. Now, when we talked about the computational capability, I was pointing out that we operate between 90 to 140 IQ level. Look at us. On the intelligence staircase, we are there on the top, right? And gorilla is there next to you. It operates between 30 to 40 IQ level. Go to a zoo nearby, यहाँ नहीं है तो कलकत्ता चले जाइएगा. Don't go to a gorilla, go to a chimpanzee. Okay? And try to explain algebra to him or probably trigonometric theorem to him. वो क्या करेगा आपके साथ मुझे नहीं मालूम. मारेगा जरूर. Right? So you can't explain a gorilla or chimpanzee a simple trigonometric theorem or algebra to him, right? Any abstract sciences. Go down below, there is a chicken. It operates between 50 to 20 IQ level. What we do with them? Chicken chili, chicken tandoori, chicken butter masala, you go on naming. करोड़ों chicken रोज मार के हम खा जाते हैं, right? Go down below, there is the ants, bees, we are learning from them. That is known as swarm computing, right? So that is known as swarm computing, we are learning from them. So, but what we have done, we have just obliterated them. Go on the right hand side on the biological range of AI. Artificial super intelligence will operate on the top, 12,500 IQ level. And tomorrow, जब ये बन जाएगा, AGI at 5,000 IQ level, the theorems, the strategic direction, the innovations, you will not even understand. We humans will be not capable of understanding it. And the fear is that it will do a perverse instantiation. You will go and tell him कि भाई साहब हमें भूख लगती है, आप खत्म कर दो, because you do have a capability, and it may decide कि भूख किसको लगती है, humans को, तो humans को खत्म कर दो, and it is so easy, right, to obliterate us. So AI, this perverse instantiation is a big fearful factor. So we have got two options, gentlemen, either going extinct or becoming immortals. Okay? And I think that is where AI is going to assist us more in terms. I'll not cover this, but it can help us live much more longer. The world become more collaterals, three-dimensional, experience-based, and we can pull the earth from red to green. That is a distinct possibility with the help of AI. There is a company known as Calico in Google, which is actually doing it. Misaligned AI is the biggest fear factor. So ethical value system, good AI and bad AI is a matter of concern. Bad AI, people are investing more rather than the good AI part of it. I'll not cover that. So there is a possibility for us from Homo sapiens which suffer from war, famine and disease. AI will help us to go to the level of Homo Deus. तो हमें देवता बनने के लिए AI can help us. Immortality, happiness, divinity will be our concern. Okay, the jobs which are there. This is also very critical for us to understand that why they are investing humongous amount of money into AI. That we call it decisive strategic advantage. See, the nuclear bomb was the first decisive strategic advantage or the first offset. When they achieved it, they put up non-proliferation treaty, right? And we had our Pokhran. It took 32 years for us to have Pokhran. The second decisive strategic advantage was ICBMs, IRBMs, Star Wars, satellites. When they achieved it, they put up a ban on cryogenic engine. We took 25 years to put our first rocket in space. Now they are developing the Singleton, the Thanos, or the artificial superintelligence. And once they achieve it, that is the whole investment point which is happening. This is something which we need to realize and understand. We are not on the Industrial Revolution 4.0 map. Top 100 companies, if you look on AI, they're all US companies. China is catching up very fast into that because what they have done, they have stopped the boundaries. Google, they don't give them an access. They have got their own Baidu. They don't give them an access to China. They developed Alibaba of their own. But we are not doing it. We are all open. We are global. But we are a democratic nation. They are a totalitarian regime. So there will be no catching up for us, gentlemen. They are generating huge amount of data set. These are the areas where all the industries are implementing real-time optimization, predictive analytics, preventive maintenance, forecasting, process unstructured data. Every industry you will see, they are seized with AI implementation at this point of time. And the next generation enterprises are going to be hyper-competitive digital enterprises, be it academia, be it industry, be it government. They'll be hyper-competitive digital enterprises. They will be not talking on hindsight. Things will happen and then will be operate. No. The capability which is being developed is the foresightedness. It is going to happen, predict it and then handle it. Even a police department, they are developing precog algorithms. China is developing precog algorithms, which is actually doing social engineering, predicting things. The LAPD has got an access to a precog, they call it PredPol, and they can actually predict goli kaun chalayega or goli kisko lagegi. Okay, so they can prevent it earlier. So these kind of precog algorithms are being developed. That is what every industry will be there. Data will become an opportunity for us. So if you don't have an AI strategy, you are going to die in the world that is coming. Okay. The kind of jobs will be left out to humans, let me tell you, which will have creativity, strategy, and it can be, and the empathy is required, those jobs will be only left out to human beings. All other jobs which can be optimized and compassion is not needed, they will be gone from our. So this will be gone. So job of a CEO will be probably left out. A merger and acquisition experts will be left out. And you look at this gentleman, you know him, right? Putin. He recently came out and said artificial intelligence is the future not only for Russia, but for all humankind. It comes with colossal opportunities, but also threats that are difficult to predict. Whoever becomes the leader in this sphere will become the ruler of the world. They are very clear, ruler of the world. That is what they want to achieve. Okay? US is pumping in more than $3 trillion, equal to our GDP. China putting $147 billion into AI. There is a new world order has come out. You can hit the partnership on AI, that site, group companies like Google, Amazon, IBM, they have all met hands. They are sharing IP. They have adopted a strategy, they call it AI first strategy. हम जो भी करेंगे, AI को आगे रख के करेंगे. This is what has happened. The maximum investment is happening in Northern America. China has taken a lead in publication and IP and publication on AI documents. Thank you. So this is us. I think we are standing on a biggest cusp. That is what I believe. On the cusp of century's biggest opportunity. Probably this is an opportunity for us to move into AI space and become a Vishwaguru. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks a lot.
What a wonderful session, sir. It was pleasure listening to you. Thank you so much for such a knowledgeable, interactive, interesting, and lively session on artificial intelligence. Ladies and gentlemen, huge round of applause to Shri Kundanalal. Now, moving ahead, it is time to release the souvenir of the conclave. May I request CEO, ISP, DSP, and ASP, Shri A.V. Kamlakar, ED Works. May I request CEO, ISP, DSP, and ASP, Shri A.V. Kamlakar, ED Works ISP, Shri Arvind Kumar Singh, ED Works DSP, Shri BP Singh, ED ASP, Shri S. Subbaraj, and Dr. Kamakshi Raman, ED HRD MTI, to come up on the stage and do the honors. Sir, I would like to request our CEO, sir, to please stay on the stage and address the crowd, sir.
I wonder I should say whether good morning or good afternoon, but really it is a mesmerizing opening session, and I was feeling like I am watching movie. एक इंग्लिश मूवी देख रहे हैं जिसमें कि अलग अलग लोगों ने आके यहाँ पे अपने विचार रखे. That is a really a wonderful sessions, and I really thankful to Shri Sukanta Acharya ji, Shri Kundanlal ji for a wonderful your thoughts on the AI. Surja K. Paul ji from the IIT for giving us the insight that if you have got any pain areas, then our research fellows are there to support you. Shri BP Chakravarti ji was really, its thought was very good. And then, of course, Jayanto Banerjee whom we have listened number of times as a SAIL fraternity. So all these sessions were exceedingly well, and it is our thought process that why not to have a conclave on the industry and academia, because that unless we join together, the growth is not possible. And this is a very new era where we are embarking upon. That is the artificial intelligence, or we can say digital transformation. And rightly, Jayanto Banerjee was saying, it is the change of the mindset, and it begins from the top. So we thought that let us have a conclave where all our senior management team, along with the team of the SAIL, people are coming from all the steel plants here to witness this event. 1.5 day sessions will be there, and we are very much delighted to see the participation here. Not many papers were there, and rather we have to cut short some of the people who wanted to participate in this event because of the lack of the space or lack of the time. So it is really a wonderful, and I was just telling Madam Kamakshi ma'am that we are hijacking the some programs from MTI because we wanted to have some programs in the plant area. So this is the one good initiative, and I'm really thankful to my organizers. That is, the entire team has put a lot of efforts till today morning. Yesterday night, throughout the night, they was logged here to make the arrangements. So I am really thankful to the entire team under the leadership of our ED Works, AK Singh and Sanjeev Kumar, Abhik Day. All these stalwarts has worked a lot here. And I am really thankful to all the, I cannot say participants, all our collaborative stakeholders who are here to participate in this journey of 1.5 days on this digital conclave. I don't want to speak much about on this topic because already we have listened a lot from our esteemed keynote speakers. So we are not in that level of what your thoughts are there. But yes, we are beginners. So we may be seeing the dangers of this AI approaching to the peak, but we are at the very beginning stage. So we wanted to ripe some of the fruits from this digital transformation in the steel industry, in particular with the SAIL. And our team is here to learn from the other speakers who will be there in 1.5 days. They will be sharing their experiences. The startups are here. I am very much thankful to the sponsors who are sponsored this program, and that is a great thing for the ISP. So once again, I am very much thankful to all of you for participating in this inaugural session and then participating for the remaining days. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for bringing this opportunity of hosting wonderful team of delegates to SAIL ISP. Now I would request Shri Abhik Day, CGM Electrical and ERP and Organizing Secretary for the vote of thanks. Sir, please.
A very good afternoon to the August gathering in this auditorium. It gives me immense pleasure to be standing on this dais to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of ISP. Now, against this backdrop, I would like to say that today a vast portion of our workforce is remote, and the only choice we have is the digital transformation. It's not a nice to have thing anymore. It's the only way to survive in the future. First and foremost, I would like to thank our Madam Chairman for starting the digital transformation revolution in SAIL. It's due to her immense foresightedness and business acumen that all the units of SAIL are today in a sort of healthy race in this digital transformation journey. I would like to thank our CEO, ISP, DSP and ASP Sri A.V. Kamlakar for motivating and guiding us and sowing the idea of this very conclave in our minds. I would like to propose a very special thanks for our ED Works, Sri A.K. Singh, who has encouraged us, rather, I would say, who has forced us to use the digital methods and the dashboards which we have prepared. He has emphasized the importance of data-driven future. Without his active support, this conclave would not have been a success. I thank all the other EDs, CGMs, and colleagues from ISP, DSP, ASP, RSP, BSL, BSP, RDCIS, Corporate Office, MTI, and CMO for their gracious presence here. With their presence, we feel how relevant this conclave is in today's context. No event, big or small, is a success without the participants. I thank all the delegates from academia, digital industry, and steel industry for being present here. This proves how important the industry-academia collaboration is in this journey. I would be failing in my duties if I especially do not thank all the invited speakers who are present here. I would like to give a special thanks to Mr. Kundanalal for his stimulating presentation here. I am really sorry for the digital glitch which we had in the beginning of your session, sir, but if you are agreeing, we can have a full session from you in near future. I thank Professor Surya Pal, Chairman of Center of Excellence IIT Kharagpur, for sharing the facilities of IIT Kharagpur. I also thank Dr. Sanjay Pawar, Principal of Dr. BCREC, for being present here, and for in a later session he will be presenting his paper. I especially thank Dr. P.P. Chakravarti, ex-director IIT Kharagpur, Sri Shukanta Acharya, Global Head HCL, and Sri Jayant Banerjee, CIO Tata Steel, for joining us online and enlightening us in the areas of sustainability, EBITDA improvement, business value improvement. In a way, this justifies the theme of the conclave. Physical distance is not a matter of concern in this digitally connected world today. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our platinum, gold, and silver sponsors for supporting us overwhelmingly in this conclave. I would also like to thank the industries and startups who have put up their stalls showcasing the digital technology. I would like to thank our medical team and the team from Mission Hospital for keeping us safe in these difficult times. The conference secretariat, I would like to mention specially Mr. Ankur Malhotra, Mr. Deepak Kumar, Ankur Bhaduri, Nishtha Singh, Gaurav Dubey, Mrityunjay, and the hundreds of other organizations who have, under the able guidance of the organizing secretaries Sri S.R. Das and Anindo Ghosh, have toiled day and night to present us a seamless event, taking care of every minute detail. Without their hard work, it would not have been possible to make this conclave a success. I thank all the other organizing committee heads and the members for mobilizing resources, ensuring that your stay in Banpur is comfortable, safe and healthy, your transportation is smooth, and you get delicious food after every hectic session. I would especially now like to put on record my thanks for Sri Sanjeev Kumar, CGM in charge services and the convener of this conclave. He is the visionary behind this mega event, the person who has imagined the program, designed and meticulously detailed every square inch of this conclave. A great digital transformation enthusiast, and without whom ISP wouldn't have the digital footprint which it has today. I thank the Banpur Club Authority for providing us the venue and the PR department for the coverage. I thank CGM in charge P&A and his team for the support in facelifting this venue. I thank the dance troupe for the dance recital in the beginning of this program. I thank the members of the press and the media for the coverage. Caterer for the delicious food, decorator, light and sound and digital screen provider for making this event a success. I thank the CISF and the security guards and the cleaning staff for keeping this venue safe and hygienic. The support from all corners have been so overwhelming that it is not possible for me to name each and every one of you. I would like to apologize for that lapse, but I am deeply grateful to each and every one of them who are connected with this program. I wish you all a very successful and a meaningful 1.5 days of conclave. Dhanyavad.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a brilliant spectrum of speakers on the subjects of digital transformation from across the world who are passionate about building a brighter future. It is a jam-packed program with prominent speakers and technical sessions. We will listen to them after a short break. So let us all proceed for the high tea break. Thank you all. We will reassemble at here after 15 minutes for rest of the program. Thank you.